Welcome, my fellow Questers, to Metaverse Adventures. My name is Immersive Matthew. Today is June 15th, and this is your Oculus Quest Week in Review. And if you think the last 5 or 6 weeks of this news program is being busy, this week takes the cake. As you may know, it was E3, so we've got a lot of stories, a lot of games, we've got a lot of news, and we got a lot of drama to cover because, wow, has the drama ever been peaking over on the Oculus Quest subreddit this week. So grab yourself a drink, maybe some popcorn or a snack, buckle in, and get ready for a jam-packed, extra-long episode of Oculus Quest Week in Review. So we begin our week as we normally do by looking over at Google Trends data. Now this is where we look at the Oculus Quest hype cycle, and I've been reporting on the Oculus Quest, the Valve Index, and the Oculus Rift S over the past 5 weeks. And what we've seen is all three devices peaked back on May 1st, and then the Rift and the Valve Index really dropped off heavily, whereas the Oculus Quest maintained a healthy interest. Now, what's interesting is that we know that it bounced up on the 21st. We saw that in the data a few weeks back. And we've also seen it settle back down, but still be at a fairly high pace. Well, that trend seems to continue. We're still just tracking just below where we were at our peak back on May 1st, that original peak. So things are still doing relatively healthy. We haven't seen a big drop. I thought we might by now, but it seems like people are still very interested. They're out there on YouTube and they're out there on Google and they're searching for Oculus Quest. So it seems like the interest is remaining. We'll have to see where the data goes. Now, the other piece of data I've been sharing with you week over week is the Amazon Top 100. And this is the first week that I'm sad to report that the Oculus Quest 128GB model has fallen off the charts. Yes, unfortunately it has. Now, I predicted this was going to happen a couple of weeks ago because we started to see stock shortages, specifically of the 64GB model and then of the 128GB model. And luckily, Amazon has been able to keep some stock in, but their actual delivery dates isn't so hot. Right now, the 64GB model, which is on the 73rd place on the Amazon Top 100, is shipping in 2 to 3 weeks. So not super great, but not terrible. If you go to Oculus.com, they're actually going to be shipping it by the 28th of June. So similar kind of data. The 128GB model, as I just reported, isn't even on the top 100 anymore. And probably because it's not even shipping for 1 to 2 months. So clearly, I don't know if the demand is just higher for the 128, if Oculus didn't make as many 128 models. We don't know, but it has fallen off the list and it does have a long delay to get a hold of one. Oddly enough, if you order the 128GB model on Oculus.com, they're saying it ships on June 24th, which is actually even sooner than they're shipping the 64GB model. So I'm not sure why Amazon is shipping so late, 1 to 2 months, but that's where it's at today. And like always, I'll report on this every week and we'll see where this data goes. I'm really curious where it's going to go as we head towards Christmas. Now, what's interesting is one of the things I've always had a struggle with, and if you ever see my predictions video here, there's not a lot of data from Oculus, in fact, from the entire VR industry to really grab onto, especially when it comes to hardware sales and software sales. However, that trend was broken this week when Oculus and Facebook finally broke that, and they came out and said that they sold $5 million worth of software in the first 2 weeks of the Quest being live. That's pretty impressive. That says there's a lot of people doing sales out there. Now, you know, there's a lot of people out on Reddit and other forums who've been doing a little number crunching, trying to figure out how many people would probably be buying 5 million. And I've seen it range from as many as little as 100,000 Quests that have been sold in those first 2 weeks to as many as 200,000. We don't know. We have no idea. It could be more, it could be less, but we're probably in the hundreds of thousands of Quests being sold so far. I'd be curious to find out what the first month sales are. As you know, in my predictions video, the Game Boy, which I sort of compared the Quest to, sold around 1 million. 1,000,003 worldwide. So we'll have to see if the Quest lines up in that similar vein. I predicted it might, so we'll have to see. And we may never find out for quite a while because Facebook doesn't exactly publish this data. But since they have published the sales data for software, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll start getting some real numbers here, especially if Facebook is feeling pretty proud about their product. So before we get into all the awesome game announcements we have this week, and there's a lot of really great games coming for the Quest, we have to take a quick step back and talk about the drama this week. Now, I don't want to belabor this too much, but I do want to let everyone know that there has been a fair amount of noise, specifically around two things. One, developers not getting approved to have their game appear on the Quest, and especially some titles that were a little bit surprised by the community, that it was a great game and can't see a good reason why it's not being allowed on the Quest. And then secondly, there's a great app that I reported on last week, the VR desktop app. In fact, I did a great video on it here where I used it to post my June 1st video, where apparently that developer, Guy Godin, he went in and snuck in a little feature that you may not have known about. In fact, I didn't even know about it until some of you commented on last week's video that it was there. And that was, suddenly, you could stream Steam VR games to the Quest from within VR desktop. Yes, you could officially buy an app in the Oculus store that would stream content from the Steam store. And so you can probably imagine that this caused a little bit of a kerfuffle. And in fact, Oculus went to the developer and said that he must take it down immediately. And within a week, it was taken out, unfortunately. Good news is, if you really want that feature through VR desktop, you can get it sideload. So that's good news. You can still get access to it. But this whole issue has brought about a lot of drama, unfortunately, and a lot of debate over on Reddit, in particular in the Oculus subreddit. And I guess really, there's two sides to this story. There's the Oculus side. They're trying to make sure that they curate the best content for the Quest. And on the other side of the equation, there's people who just feel that everything should have a fair opportunity to get on the Quest. And so there's two competing camps. And Oculus has been pretty clear from day one that really the Quest is about proven games and apps that have success and are of high quality. They get on the Oculus store. And things that are more experimental and maybe are of less quality, they can go on PC VR. PC VR is supposed to be sort of the playground, and the Oculus Quest is sort of the, the commercial, refined, curated store that when you buy an app, you're getting a good quality app, you're not getting junk. And I know this is the debate that isn't just something that's new to Oculus. This is the debate that people have with Apple versus Android, right? Android's an open store more versus Apple, which is very, very tight and what can go in their store. And there's many, many examples of this throughout history. So this is not a new story. So really, it all comes down to what you want. If you want a device that just plugs and play, that's the Oculus Quest. If you want a device that can play with all the experimental software, then PC VR is for you. Now, what's interesting is that PC VR, of course, is accessible to the Quest. It's been proven, through VR Desktop and their app. Plus, I reported a few weeks ago about ALVR, VR Ridge. But there's a number of these apps that allow you to play Steam VR games. And, the feedback on all of them is pretty much the same, that it's pretty good. You can't really detect the delay. However, Jeremy over on This Is Only a Test reported that while he couldn't detect a delay, he did get a little queasy after about 30 minutes of playing. So, maybe it's fast, but maybe the latency is there all the same that you can't perceive it, but maybe your mind can, your subconscious mind, and people are getting sick. It depends. I'm going to do a whole episode on this soon about VR sickness because the good news, you do get used to it. So it really depends on the person and where you're at on your VR journey. But I can understand why Oculus doesn't want to put a product in the store that can make people sick, that doesn't drive a high quality experience. So I understand Oculus' standpoint. It's too bad that this great app got shut down in this area because it would have been great for Guy Godin's sales, but that's how things go. What's interesting is that there's been a few comments from people like John Carmack and Jason Rubin over at Oculus talking about that actually PC VR on the Quest can be a lot better than it is. There's room to improve this. So that sort of suggests to me that maybe Oculus is working on something official and that this will come down the line with maybe an attachment that goes into the USB slot, like a little Wi-Fi adapter that's higher end than when you get over your home network. Don't know, but there's plenty of ways to make the experience better and they're working on it. So, let's hope, fingers crossed, that we do get that solution because I, for one, would like to see an official app streaming content from my PC to my Quest. So all this drama aside, I would really love to know where you fall in this dilemma. I mean, this is a big debate, and it's one that's been raging for many, many years, like I said, with Apple and, their kind of very closed store, these walled gardens, as people call them. But where do you think? Should Oculus be that closed walled garden with carefully curated content, that meaning that they're going to shut out some potential little interesting independent developed apps that maybe aren't as great but are neat all the same? Or do they open it up to all those apps and also let all the garbage come in as well? Because that's going to be the reality. It's going to be a store with great content but a whole bunch of garbage content. And Oculus has made the firm decision that they at least want to go towards just the high content only. But what do you think? Please comment below. I would really love to hear your view on this. All right, let's switch over to the games, because that's what this week is all about. E3 this year was about games. It wasn't about accessories, we didn't hear about that, and it wasn't about more arena scale, which I was a little disappointed, I must admit. Maybe we'll see that Oculus Connect 6 in the fall, but there's plenty of games to talk about, so this is where the news gets exciting this week. The first game we're going to talk about is Beat Saber. Now, we've all been waiting for Beat Saber to officially announce their new song pack, and this week they did. It is a song pack dedicated to Imagine Dragons. Imagine Dragons and their hit songs, which you probably know and heard already, are really a good fit for Beat Saber. And a lot of people are saying that it's a lot of fun to play and it adds, additional 10 tracks to your arsenal. So it's not what everyone wanted to hear. I know some of you wanted a more wide variety of songs. In this case, it's sort of focused on one particular band, and don't know if this is going to be the trend of Beat Saber. But again, if it's not your cup of tea, there's still sideloading, and there are many, many songs that you can go and download right now and for free. So either go for the official pack or go on sideload. What's interesting is that they've also come up with another feature that they're coming out later this year, and this is going to be the 360 mode. And there's a video here that I'm showing right now where you can see that there's these lines that light up and they sort of change direction, and you literally have to shift your body to play in that direction and then play over this direction and then play in that direction. And I'm guessing by having those lines shifting around, you're going to eventually turn it all the way around and have a more 360 experience. And those who tried it at E3, and unfortunately I wasn't one who got to go there, but they said it's awesome, and once you tried 360 mode, you don't want to go back to the regular Beat Saber. So that's coming out later this year. I'm really excited to see that one, so I'll let you know when it hits the ground. Also in the whole music theme, Dance Central has a new download pack. They're releasing 6 brand new songs. They're bringing the overall game from the 32 it has now to 38. And they're also going to be including a fitness tracker. It will track your calories burned and some stats while playing over time. So that's pretty cool. And now NPCs can also challenge you to dance, not just friends in real life, and that can unlock all new sorts of gear. So that's kind of a cool feature they're adding. And this is all coming to the Oculus Quest soon. They haven't said when, but soon. Another musically inspired game is another one coming out called Pistolwhip. Now, this is from Cloudhead Games, who'd made the whole, the Gallery series, the Heart of the Emberstone, and the original Call of the Starseed. Great games, some of the very first room scale games I ever played, and they're a great studio, not too far from here in Vancouver, actually just across on the island. And this week, it was actually confirmed over on the Discord channel that Cloudhead Games maintains that they are indeed bringing it to the Quest. So that's really exciting. This game is sort of like a Beat Saber meets Super Hot kind of mashup. And it's hard to explain. The video here will kind of show you a little bit. You're on rails, you're sort of moving relentlessly through the level, and you just gotta shoot basically everything that comes at you. It looks pretty wild. Those who've tried it say it's kind of a neat experience, very visceral coming at you, very intense, and it's kind of a new style of gameplay. I mean, it's building on these other guys' styles, but yeah, kind of iterating on them and bringing in new elements. And so this is one to keep your eye on, especially if you're into music and shooting things. So that's something that I'll like to be trying out. Another game that got announced this week was Echo Arena VR. And this one sort of surprised me. I didn't realize that Ready at Dawn was going to be able to port a game like Echo Dawn to the Quest. But when you really think about it, it's a gravity-free environment. The Quest sort of makes a lot of sense, because when I played this game in the past on the PC VR, I can tell you, I got a whole bunch of tangled. I mean, that cable gets looped and looped and looped and tangled and knotted, and pretty soon you're just being yanked to your desk by it. So this is kind of nice. I'm looking forward to trying this with, the whole full freedom of the Quest. It's a popular multiplayer game if you haven't heard. It's a VR sort of e-sport game, and it's really about 5 versus 5. Like I said, it's anti-gravity, so you're really jumping off from any direction, upside down, over and under. It's not for everybody. You have to have a bit of a stomach for this. And like I was saying earlier, for the more experienced VR people, you do get used to VR, and some of you can go into these more intense environments, but this is not one for everyone. This is an intense VR experience, and for some of you, it may make your hurl. It's not coming out till 2020, so you've got plenty of time to get your VR legs, if you will, and until then, there's quite a few other games that are coming out that are also in the kind of shooter sort of domain. The first one is Onward. Armor is coming down from Downpour Interactive, and it's another one of these e-sport types of games, and it's a heavy competition game. It's a popular first-person shooter, and it also, like the last one, is also a 5 versus 5 player experience. It really has amazing shootouts for those who've done this on PC VR. It's a lot of fun to have those shootouts. And again, just like with Echo VR, I think that having the no wires of the Quest is, again, going to be a huge advantage for this game. And unfortunately, still no date announced. Don't know if it's this year or next, but we do know it's coming to the Quest. And this is probably one of the most asked for games, first-person shooter games that I've seen for the Quest being asked for. So I'm sure a lot of you right now are like, yay, it's coming. Here's another first-person shooter for you, and this one is coming this year. It's coming in August. It's by Digital Load, who said that this game is actually their core focus, despite the game being developed for PC VR as well. It's called Aspire 1 VR Operative. And in this one, you pilot stealth drones through enemy facilities. You get to climb up pipes. You get to silently take out guards. You get to drift. So it has those sort of stealth-based aspects to it. This one looks pretty interesting. The graphics look fantastic. It seems to be translating well to the Quest. This one's coming out in August, like I said. So if you're a first-person shooter fan and want to get into a game like this, I think this is going to be a good option for you. Another game is coming out late this year, and no exact release date yet, is one called Population 1. It's a bit of one of those sort of battle royale games, kind of like Fortnite or PUBG. And of course, that's a popular game right now, so this should be one to keep your eye open for. And just like those games, it has a lot of familiar elements like them as well. You've got the ability to build, climb, glide through the levels, and get into the action. Now, it's an interesting, they put up a 1x1 square kilometer map. That's what you play in, and up to 24 players, which when I read that, I was a little surprised because we already know that the Quest struggles with 10 players in the same room, in Rec Room and VR chat. So I don't know how they're going to do 24 players. Maybe because it's on a 1 square kilometer map that you don't see all 24 at the same time. But it could happen. So I don't know what happens when it does. Maybe it just drops you out of the game and resets. It's interesting. And what's really cool about this is that you're going to be able to cross-play with PC VR players on the Quest. So that means that the 24 players is going to be something that's going to have to be there, or it's just not going to be compatible. So this one is really interesting. I'm going to keep a close eye on this, and I'll report to you. Like I said, it's coming late 2019, maybe by Christmas, I'm hoping. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we see a delay on this one. But it's looking pretty good. This is the Quest graphics you see right here. Bring it on. I can't wait to see this game on the Quest. And another game that's coming out for the Quest that's being really asked for a lot on the forums is Arizona Sunshine. Now, Vertigo Games has confirmed that they are porting it over to the Quest. So that's really awesome news for all the fans. Finally, they haven't given an exact launch date, but they have said sometime late 2019. Don't know when. And I would also, one of these games, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it get delayed. But it's a great game. It was first released in 2016. And it was sort of the first-person shooter zombie game. And it was had a single-player campaign and co-op campaign. And the co-op campaign is a lot of fun to play with a buddy. It's a wave-based shooter survival game, and up to 4 people can play that at once, which is really cool. Unfortunately, the trailer here is only 15 seconds, and we really only see minor hints. So we don't really know what it's going to look like on the Quest. I don't even know even the Quest graphics. It's supposed to be. Looks pretty good. I can't wait to see how it translates because it was always a little more of a graphically demanding game. Especially if you're out there in some of those outtime scenes. There's a lot of detail and a lot of distance that it draws. So it should be interesting to see how they squeeze this one on the Quest. I'm very excited about this game. If you're a zombie fan, this is going to be a game to keep your eye open for as well. And the second last shooter that I want to talk about today is another one called Solaris. It's another game by First Contact Entertainment, the creators of Firewall, Zero Hour, and ROM Extraction. It is another multiplayer VR first-person shooter. It's apparently a little bit like Halo in that it's a sci-fi, combat, first-person shooter experience with intense firefights. It's a brand new IP and it's not tied to any of their other games. It apparently also releases later this year. No release date yet. It just seems like this Christmas, the theme here is first-person shooters are coming. And the last first-person shooter that I want to put out there is one unfortunately isn't coming to the Quest, or at least not officially on the Oculus Store. And it's one that I've been reporting on the past couple of weeks called Pavlov. Pavlov, right now, you can go inside Quest and you can download their alpha version. And it's a pretty good game. And those who've tried it, and I have not had a chance myself yet, say it's very well done. It's like ready for the store. But unfortunately, it's not coming to the store. And not because Oculus rejected it, but apparently because the developer Dave didn't like Oculus's sort of style. When Oculus approves your game for the Oculus Store, they reach out to you, they give you resources and tools, and they work with you to get your game optimized, get the quality up, and get it in the store. And I guess they rubbed him the wrong way, and he said, forget about it, I'm done. And he is not going to port it to the Quest anymore. You can still sideload it, so that's probably your only chance to try this game. I would do it sooner than later if that's something that interests you. I don't know how long the sideload will last, and it seems like he's breaking ties with Oculus, and he's going to go on his own way. And yeah, he basically says he'd rather work with Steam. So, each to their own. That's the beauty of this world. I wish Dave all the best. It's too bad his game can't come to the Quest, but I believe everyone should do what's right for them. And it looks like the drama continues on this story because just after I finished recording this segment and was putting it together, another tweet came out from the developer Dave saying that it is now back on the Oculus Store. Apparently there was some sort of confusion between him and Oculus, but that's all being sorted, so we can expect it to come out for the Quest again. Wow, this has been one heck of a drama week. Okay, well, since I have you pause here anyways, it's already at 22 minutes, this video, so I'm going to cut it here. This will be part one. Part two, which I'll be putting out tomorrow, is going to be talking about sort of the non-first-person shooter games that are coming for the Quest. And I got a pile of them. There's some really neat apps in here that you really want to check out tomorrow. As well as I have a segment on the business side of things. And the most shocking one, playing VR games in your Quest wirelessly in the cloud. Yeah, you're going to want to stay tuned. This is going to be an amazing wrap-up for this week's E3. I'll see you in the next video.